because that's what we do. Hi, everybody. Liz Kahn here with Unique Behavioral Wellness. As always, here with my friend, James Jernigan, doctor here at Cornerstone Chiropractic. And we're here today because it's my turn to interview Dr. James. He said something this morning that really caught my attention, and I thought it was really important to share with you. Because you were talking about like a 13-hour day yesterday.
Yeah, yep.
And it struck me, I'm just going to,
Sure.
This is what I heard from Dr. James this morning. Yeah, yesterday was a 13-hour day, and, my first thought when I got home was, am I going to be able to sustain this? But, that went away because I got so excited about the fact that I created this. And it strikes me, any number of other people might have said, I feel really overwhelmed by this. I don't want to do this. Like the thoughts, the automatic thoughts that go through their heads. And then we have you. And there are a lot of people like Dr. James that do really say, hey, I worked really hard to create this. And now I'm here. And wow, 13-hour days feels a little bit bigger than I had anticipated. But this is my new reality. Yeah. And I get to take charge of it. So
yeah, I think because we also were talking about obstacles or challenges in our way and going over them, below them, beside them, through them, or just busting
becoming
through
other
them,
things.
and finding more resources to be able to get through that obstacle, to become and to reach your goals. And I think that
our objectives.
I think that in those moments when you get past that hurdle or whatever it is, it's like you become a little bit stronger, right? And it's preparing you. I truly believe it's preparing you for the next one, and then the next one along that way. Because then going through high school to undergrad was a big change,
right?
And then from undergrad to grad school, where I was taking 10 plus classes every trimester plus 2 labs, it was like I was putting in these hours while traveling the U.S. and Canada to follow and continue to expand, like, what is chiropractic and who's the best at it, and how can I start to, how can I, exponentially speed up that process so that I can be ready when I open my office.
So I gotta ask though, did the word, and word choice is really huge here, because our words do create our reality.
Absolutely.
So did this word overwhelmed come into, like, through your transitions? Did that ever feel like it was a big thing for you? Were you overwhelmed?
Man, I'd say that, yeah, absolutely. I, going through undergrad to grad school, it was just like this big,
change.
Monumental change.
Yeah.
And you think, there is no way that I can, do this. And then that's when you change your focus to start looking ahead, because that's going to help drive you through those tough times.
Right.
But then you look back, and now after graduating grad school, it's like looking back, and I'm like, wow, I had it easy back then. But it was so tough when I was there.
Right.
Because it's preparing you for the next stage.
And I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or last week, time kind of does the thing, when we talk about present state, and we look back at our old state, and then we get to that desired state, which is now our present state, and it's like, am I ready for this?
Yeah.
And, when we think about, you kind of smiled when you were like, yeah, overwhelmed would be a good word to describe that. But you continued to move forward. Yeah. And I think that a lot of that has to do with another concept that you brought up, your beliefs.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so our beliefs color how we talk to ourselves. Our beliefs shape how we take our next steps. And
is all this work worth it?
Oh.
And that's huge with your beliefs, because if it's not worth it, then 13-hour days is miserable.
Right.
Right?
But I don't think I've ever seen you not smiling like this when we're here in this office.
Yeah.
And it's largely because you get to share that gift, right? Part of that belief structure of yours, which shapes how you view your challenges or obstacles, and again, it's about the words we use. So
completely.
I rarely hear you use the word obstacle.
Yeah.
I've heard hurdle. I've heard challenge, and those are much easier to tackle in my mind than an obstacle. An obstacle is this big boulder that blocks my path. But a hurdle, I can get over a hurdle. I can meet a challenge. And it's very interesting because the words that you use shape your reality.
Yeah.
The words that I hear you use shape my reality. And so when we're talking about this, we're going to talk about awareness here.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go with the action step? Should I take the action step of the day?
Action step for today.
So I'm looking. We're so good. We're going to do a short video today, guys. Action step for the day. Monitor your words, right? An obstacle is different from a hurdle. How are you shaping your reality through the words that you're using? I will never ever tell anybody. You got to only think positive.
Right.
You got to think practical. Yeah. You got to think reality. But you also got to think about solutions, right?
Yep.
So when I have a hurdle, not an obstacle, I know that I can meet the challenge because I'm going to say, what do I need to do to rise above this hurdle?
Or who can I come into contact with and partner alongside
right.
to
move me closer to my objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Objectives.
I love it.
So we're going to be really mindful of the words that we're using when we're talking to you, when we're talking to each other, and especially when we're talking to ourselves.
It's huge.
It's
because
huge.
You're absolutely right. And so be aware of what you're using. Like how do you describe the thing in your life right now that is your challenge or whatever the hurdle is? Like how do you describe it? And for some people, like obstacle, it might seem like a motivating word to them.
Maybe.
And I think that part of me is like, wanting to charge through it is like it's an obstacle, like whatever it is, right? And different moments, those words can mean different things to you too. So what are the words that you're using to describe what you're going through? Mm-hmm. And can you change your perspective? Can you change those words to help you get through it?
I feel like there's one phenomenal question, and I don't know if I've shared it before, but I'd like to share it now.
Perfect.
Does this work for me? Do the words that I'm using work for me? Like, if I go and I talk to my friends and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is so difficult for me, right? It's so hard for me to accept. And then I have to, like, they'll ask me a question about it. Oh, what about it is hard to accept? And then I have to kind of, I don't know, usually make something up because it's not that bad, right? And so are we over-dramatizing? Does over-dramatizing work for me? No, it doesn't. Are my words working for me? Are they taking me to where I want to go? Does this work for me? Ask yourself that question. And for me, when I say ask a question, if you're doing it in the moment, chant it 3 times. 3 times. Just chant it 3 times and then move on. You can come back to it. And if you start to hear it again, like, oh, I'm still using that word. Does this word work for me? Does it work? What can I replace it with that will work better?
Yeah.
I like that one too. What can I replace this with that will work better for me? And that, I think, is going to be your action step for the day.
Perfect.
Yeah?
All right. We love you guys.
We love you guys.
See you tomorrow.